Have the Broncos finally done enough to bolster their tight end room? This is your Denver Sports Daily for June 7th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Last season, the tight end room was terrible for the Broncos, and that's just a fact. It was garbage. They went out in the offseason. They went out and they did what they were supposed to do. They picked up Evan Ingram in free agency in hopes to get a true tight end one, and that's what Evan Ingram will be. I mean, this guy's a star. He's going to be a solid player. That immediately brings your tight end room up a great amount, just knowing that you have a true tight end one on this roster now. Somebody that can play, down in the middle of the field, right there, hit those curl routes right for Bo Nix. So he can open up to those checkdowns, because that was one thing you learned about Bo Nix, especially like last season when you saw him. Everybody was saying, oh, this guy's going to be a check down merchant. He wasn't, because he didn't have anybody to really check down to. There wasn't any solid running backs that he could easily just pass the ball to. There wasn't a tight end that was consistent enough in those flats for him to just get the ball out. Now they got Evan Ingram who can do that and can be a deep threat and can block. These are great things that Evan Ingram can do. But they didn't stop there. The Broncos needed some more. And yesterday, they signed an undrafted free agent in Caden Prescorn. While this will give him a shot, this will give him a shot in the offseason. He may not end up making the team, but he can go out there and prove that he should make the team. You're looking at who he's up against and what he's done in the past. Prescorn played for the Memphis Tigers and Ole Miss Rebels before going undrafted, but in his collegiate career, he had some good numbers, recording 14 touchdowns and almost 1,500 yards on 105 receptions in just his final 3 seasons in college. Now, again, while it's unlikely Prescorn will make the 53-man roster, he should be able to put up a good fight for a spot over Adam Trautman, Lucas Krull, or Nate Adkins. Any of those guys, you can maybe see Prescorn taking over for. But in the end, if you're really looking out to what it's going to be after training camp when they're finalizing the roster, I highly doubt that Prescorn is going to be on that roster. But bring those tight ends in. You obviously didn't get one in the draft that you really like. You didn't do anything like that. Everybody was thinking that maybe you would go out there and get a Colston Loveland or a Tyler Warren, especially because, they were both falling a little bit. Not Colston Loveland, but Tyler Warren fell a little bit. They could have gone out, maybe tried to do that. No, they took Jahdae Barron, fair pick, bolster the defense, make it even better than what it was last season. Prescorn could be the guy who comes in, and that's their rookie. That's the guy that they want to get, that they want to bring up through this program. And they could, but I do highly doubt that he will end up making the final roster. Now, moving on, Martin Necas played well for the Avs in the regular season, but failed to provide the same boost in the postseason. And now it's being reported that he is not overly thrilled with his time here so far. Kind of heartbreaking to hear. Now, Necas was obviously a part of that blockbuster trade that shipped Mikko Rantanen off to Carolina, and will be, the headline of this season when you look back on it in the future. That's the main thing that you get from this past season, the 2025 season. What happened for the Avalanche? They traded Mikko Rantanen. Who cares about another Game 7 lost? Mikko Rantanen will be the stamp on this season when you look back at it in history. And then they got Martin Necas and they got Jack Drury, and you hope that those guys were going to be the guys to extend your window, because that's what it was. You're extending your window. Mikko Rantanen wants too much money. Not even too much money, in my opinion. You should have paid the guy, but still, Mikko's gone. You bring in these two guys, extend the window. They played well in the regular season, but then they fell apart. And when you trade away players that are in the top 10 of the franchise history, not only do you want someone who in return can provide the same amount of skill or at least something comparable, you also want someone who wants to be on the team. And it seems like the Avs got neither of those things with Martin Necas. Now, Sportsnet's Nick Kypreos released an article highlighting the top players to watch as the potential trade targets in this offseason. They just made that list. Now, the reason why that's surprising, though, was Kypreos said in the article, quote, after the Avalanche moved Rantanen because of how difficult they perceive contract extension talks to be going, how much patience will they have if negotiations on an extension start slowly in July? There was a sense that Necas wasn't overly thrilled with his experience in Colorado and that he wants to explore other options. You bring this guy in, you bring him in for Mikko Rantanen. You're sending away one of the best players in the franchise's history, and now this guy doesn't even want to be on the team. Necas doesn't like it. He wants to explore other options. You bring him in, you get him to a playoffs, and then he falls apart, and he wasn't overly thrilled. I think most fans could say the same thing about his playoff performance. I think most fans And, most people around the league or even in the front office could say the same thing about Marty Necas. It sucks because I was high on him throughout the season with the Avalanche. He was a solid player in the regular season, especially. You go back and you watch this season, Necas was a great player, and he was one of the leaders on this team during some great runs that they had. He was great, and now he's not overly thrilled to be here. You should be chomping at the bit to be back on this team next season to prove that you can bring them further in the playoffs. You were one of the leaders of this team. You are. If you get traded for, if you come into this team off of an acquisition for one of the best players in the league in franchise history, you need to be one of the best players. You need to be one of the stars. You need to be one of the leaders on this team. And now he doesn't want to be? What is that? What is that even about? Adding this drama to what looks like it will be a drama-filled postseason is the last thing the Avs need right now. And if they lose acquisitions like Necas and Brock Nelson too, maybe coming back, maybe not, they could watch their Stanley Cup window close right in front of their eyes. It'd be terrible to see. And you really don't want to hear anything like that from somebody like Marty Necas, who was supposed to be great, who was supposed to be solid, not great, just solid. And he fell apart in the postseason, and now he doesn't even really want to be here. It really sucks to hear. Now, moving on, the Rockies pulled off a seemingly impossible task yesterday as they won their first series of the season. After losing 22 straight series in a row, dating back to last year, the Rockies finally started a new streak. This is insane to watch. The Rockies beat the Marlins 3-2 yesterday, thanks to some late heroics, which officially ended their 22 series loss streak. Now, Brenton Doyle was the hero of that game, making an incredible save in deep center field to record the last out of the game. Now, that's a 2-win win streak. I can't remember how long it's been, but don't get too high on the Rockies yet. They are still 11-50 and dead last in almost every team statistic. They are the worst baseball team I've ever witnessed with my own two eyes, but winning 2 games in a row for the first time in God knows how long feels pretty good. Now, the Rocks do play again. They're taking on the Marlins in the final matchup of their 3-game series. And if the Rockies can sweep them, I might have to start rooting for Colorado again. But again, highly doubt it. The Rockies are 11-50. They are the worst team. Worst 60-game start in it's sad. It's sad how bad this team is and how I'm talking about them winning their first series of the season. First series in the last 22. They've won it. The last 22 series they have lost, and then they won last night. And we're talking about I might start rooting for them again. I just feel bad saying I might root for the Rockies again. It's just sad to watch them. But it is fun to know that, they got some good wins. And if you watched that game yesterday, you could see they were all hyped up. They were having a good time. And honestly, I would much rather watch the Rockies if they took on that kind of persona that the Nets did back in 2019. If you remember that Nets team, I don't know if you guys remember watching that Nets team. Go watch some of them. They didn't play well at all. They were one of the worst NBA teams I've ever seen, but they were having fun. Go out there and have some fun. At this point, just go out there and play the game. There's no need to take it serious anymore. Honestly, go for the most losses in the league. That's what I can root for. If you're going to be bad, be historically bad. Don't be in the middle. Be historically bad and cause some shakeups, cause some changes. Be the reason that there are changes to this team. If you're not on this team next season, and this is a message for everybody on the Rockies, if you're not on this team next season, that's probably for the best. Be the reason they make some changes. If you're going to lose hard. Lose hard. Now, that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I will see you guys all again tomorrow. Rooting for a big Rockies game tonight. Can they win 3 games in a row? I highly doubt it. But still, winning the first series out of the last 22 is a pretty incredible feat on both ends of the spectrum. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.